Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. We're going to get started at 2:03 today. Welcome to the webinar series. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started in 1 minute. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. It's 2:03 on the dot. My name is Jenna Malberg, and I'm Associate Program Manager here at Internet2. And I'm so excited to welcome you guys to the second session of our 2024 Net Plus webinar series. I'm so appreciative of you guys joining us for the next hour to learn what's new in the Net Plus portfolio. Let's go ahead and move on to the logistics. So today the Q&A is your best friend because your microphones, video, and chat are disabled. So our team is here ready to answer any questions that you might need today or you might have. And while we're waiting for questions, feel free to ask during the actual presentation or wait until the end and we'll get to it. And lastly, today's virtual event will be held on our YouTube channel and our blog, which I will drop in the chat before we get started. But other than that, I want to introduce our first speaker, our Program Development Manager, Tara.
Hi, everyone. Tara Jennis. It's nice to be here for an exciting event, having two new Net Plus service that have been added to the Net Plus portfolio in the last month. We're going to be learning more about Net Plus Echo Labs and Net Plus 1Password today. We have a whole cast of speakers from both of these programs that have worked to make these available to the Net Plus community, and look forward to sharing more about that. But first, how are Net Plus services added to the Internet2 Net Plus portfolio? It's a pretty rigorous process, let's say. There are a couple of reasons when we identify services that need to be added to the Net Plus portfolio. In some cases, there's an unmet need in the market for a specific technology. And I think we'll see some of that in the example with Echo Labs today. And in others, there's a challenge with an existing supplier, whether it be around contract terms or pricing, that the research and education community can come together to collaborate and address those. And I think we see that somewhat with the Net Plus 1Password. And you'll learn how that all kind of came about through descriptions of the service evaluation process that institutions that volunteer to work on service evaluations have gone through. We'd like to have at least 5 member institutions participate, ideally 7 to 8, and we really appreciate the work that these member institutions, of which you'll hear from a few today, put into it to work on behalf of the community. So some of the characteristics we look for in a service that make it attractive for Net Plus are listed here. I'm not going to read through all of these, but just to give you kind of a picture of the type of cloud service that we're looking to add and how it can best fit into the Net Plus model. Some standards that we've identified through work with the community over the last 11 plus years, to make some consistency throughout our programs and bring the community get together to collaborate and make the best use of services. This is what actually goes into the Net Plus service evaluation. We have these components that are assessed by the institutions that are participating with the cooperation of the industry partner that whose service is being evaluated. So we go through all these different processes to come out in the end with a contract and pricing and a program that meets the needs of the community. And one distinction I want to make, you're going to hear about Echo Labs that's in a pre-service evaluation mode right now. We'll be going through all of this, and then we'll be hearing about the 1Password service evaluation that has completed after about a 7-month process. So just to make sure that the distinction between the two types of services we have, but we're really excited for you to learn more about them. So I want to get right into Echo Labs and introduce the program manager, Tiffany Frank.
Thank you, Tara. We move to our next slide. And then one more slide. Great, perfect. So hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany Frank. I'm the AI program manager here on the Net Plus team at Internet2. And I'm very excited to introduce our speakers for the Echo Labs portion of the webinar. We've already heard from Tara at Internet2. And we're also going to hear from Edward Aguilar and Devin Beck at Echo Labs, and also Jeffrey Schwartz at Loyola Marymount University, and Ann Fredrickson at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Edward and Devin to kick us off.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany. So, as you all know, 3 decades ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed to help protect students and people of all backgrounds. But 30 years later, EDUCAUSE recently reported that nearly 92% of institutions today have yet to reach full compliance. Now, it took us 3 decades to reach that 8%, but in April, of course, the Department of Justice ruled that the remaining 92% would have to be covered under a blanket of universal accessibility by 2027 at the absolute latest. That is an insane 2 years, and with no clear path forward, most institutions have privately started to refer to all of this as the accessibility crisis. Some of you in the chat have probably said this yourself. Now, over the last year, I've had the unique opportunity to meet literally hundreds of institutions and learn about their accessibility strategy. And quite recently, our company also funded the largest accessibility study to date. It's actually an order of magnitude larger than any prior study, and we'll share some of the results here during this event. But from those meetings that we took and from the data that we were gathered, it became immediately clear that the reason that so many institutions are not compliant today isn't because they don't care. It's because legacy solutions are either too expensive or ridiculously clunky. Often it's a horrible Frankenstein of both of those things together. And you can see some of that in some of the numbers we have here on this slide that we've collected fairly recently, which is obviously only 8% of institutions are covered. The average liability we found being around $1.2 million. And remember, this is just media accessibility. So this is a lack of captioning, audio description, and 72% of their public-facing media is inaccessible. Again, we believe that this is because the solutions today just weren't fully there. They weren't advanced enough to make something like this happen, to solve the accessibility crisis. Because what you see is that complex moderation workflows and departmentally led initiatives have been implemented almost out of necessity to help control their cost. But those things have kept compounding the problem, where now we're on our last couple years before this cliff.
And that's exactly why we created Echo Labs. And this is the team that met out in San Francisco earlier this year to form Echo Labs. We're a team of former 3Play, Verbit, Kaltura, Panopto employees, as well as special educators, former court stenographers, and machine learning experts who wanted to bring enterprise-grade technology and resources specifically to the education market, focusing all of our efforts on solving unique higher education particular needs. We didn't pay much attention to how the industry operated previous to us, knowing that it wasn't providing a long-term solution. We solely identified like what are the exact types of offerings schools need, what is the price that is going to be palatable to do this at scale, and then we built our entire company around that. So what does this all kind of mean? Very like lofty claims that we're making. We have two different service offerings that we brought to market this year, with several more being released in the upcoming months. Right now, we have two fully AI accessibility tools that outrival human subject matter experts in blind studies and can perform things like closed captioning and audio descriptions at a fraction of the cost. Here's a brief example of something that we've run through our Casper closed captioning solution.
I am the very model of a modern nature general. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England and I quote the points historical from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I am very well acquainted with mathematics. I understand equations both simple and quadratical about binomial theorems. I'm dreaming of a lot of news. Lot of news.
Thank you. Next slide. And I think what's like truly amazing about this technology is not only the ability to just accurately turn around closed captions. We turn around closed captions in 24 hours or less, guaranteed 99.8% accuracy. And we can offer it at a fraction of the cost through the Internet 2 program. It costs 45 cents per minute, typically a tenth what some people are paying for equivalent turnaround time and accuracy of closed captions. But all the value added services that once you start layering in artificial intelligence, things like speaker diarization, meaningful sound effects, being able to really reference an entire world of digital databases, being able to do things like recognizable speaker names. And even if the name isn't necessarily inferred, our system can get that type of information and pull it in. It's truly the first time people interact with it, the most common feedback we get is, how did it do that? It just simply operates like magic. Sometimes as low as a few hours for a relatively long video, just comes back with a speed, accuracy, and all of these services that typically are a la carte services if they're provided at all. And the system just does that automatically.
And I think what's most interesting about this is that this technology is the first of its kind that actually gives us a path forward to universal accessibility. In recent months, we've already been seeing what the future of this industry is going to look like. We've had some of the largest public systems in the country switch to using Casper. And what they've been able to do is that they've gone from this world of having only a fraction of their media made accessible to all of their legal compliance covered and more, where they're actually a fully proactive institution across dozens of different business units. And they make this switch in less than a couple of months. And the most miraculous part of all of it is that because of this technology, they're able to make that switch without ever touching their budgets. So you're actually getting dramatically more accessibility coverage. And in a lot of cases, people either keep their budget the same or reduce it. A lot of people have like come to us and genuinely thanked us because there was not a path forward to being able to do this to cover all of those students if we hadn't built and then distributed this technology. But I think that the most important part of this presentation is the part where I want you to not hear from us and our team, but from some of the upstanding accessibility trailblazers we've had the fortune to work alongside. So we're going to start with Anne Fredrickson, who has been in a phenomenal accessibility trailblazer at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Anne, feel free to take it away.
Thank you. So I'm Anne Fredrickson. I am in charge of the accessible media services at the University of Illinois, and it's my job to make sure course content, whatever that is accessible for students with disabilities. And to just give you a little bit of history, we are the first disability office in the nation, in the world technically, and we started serving students back in 1948 because people coming back from the war, soldiers who had been injured, wanted to take advantage of the GI Bill, and there was no facilities that could host those soldiers who were now using wheelchairs. There were no ways for them to get into the classrooms, and they needed to be taught skills. And so they came and they met with Dr. Timothy Nugent, who created this program. And then 2 years later, that whole campus got shut down. And so after ping-ponging across the state, deciding where they would stick this new program, they told Dr. Nugent, we'll give you 2 years to prove that you can benefit from being here in Urbana-Champaign. And the rest is history, and we've been here ever since. Some of the things that we've been the first to help install are curb cuts. So every time you walk down the sidewalk, thank you, Dr. Nugent. He also helped adapt buses so that way people can get onto and off of buses, either public transportation or even if your school has their own bus system. We created an adaptive sports program and award letters for our athletes. And we also helped develop some of the architectural standards that are now used today. To talk about our video accessibility that we've been working on, around 2008, I was hired because we had one lecture capture that was organic chemistry, and there was 2 students in that class who needed closed captioning. And so I was able to come in and learn how to caption, and I did those 40 hours of videos. And we slowly went up and down with our need of how many hours of video we needed captions throughout the year. By fall of 2019, we were captioning about 120 to 150 hours of captioning, and my director pulled me in and asked what we could handle and should we start looking for a vendor. And over the years, I had been contacted by multiple vendors, and I kept telling her, you know, I'm faster than what we're getting from the vendors. Automatic speech recognition is terrible. Please don't make me use a vendor. I'll just be upset. And I said, as long as we have no more than 2 lecture captures, we'll be fine. COVID hit in 2020, right around the corner. And in that last 8 weeks, we did 120 hours of captioning, and we knew that the fall was going to be bad. And so we started looking for vendors, and I finally had to pick one, and I wasn't completely happy with the vendor that I picked, but it was the best that I could find. And now last spring, we did 1,500 hours of captioning. About that time, Edward reached out and said, we have a grant program. We'd like to caption for you for 2 weeks. And I was like, 2 weeks, any amount of captioning for 2 weeks? Because I have a lot of videos. And so I met with Edward. Before I go into that, so the university has rules about vendors. My university does, and we cannot spend more than $100,000 on a vendor per a purchasing order per year without approval from the Board of Trustees, and they meet twice a year. And to get on their schedule takes a couple years, possibly, depending. And our students are banging on our door asking where our lecture captures are. And so with most vendors, it's a 4-day turnaround for typical return of captions, unless you want to pay that premium. And so we're always looking for something that is more accurate and faster. Next slide, please. And so Edward reached out and said, we have this Grant First program. We'd like to give you a try. So wasn't going to hurt me to listen to his pitch. He promised ADA quality captions. Love to hear that. He answered my questions and actually knew what I was asking when I was asking specific, like, formatting questions. Do you follow any formatting? He knew what I was talking about, and he knew what I was looking for. And so I gave their portal a try this past spring. It wasn't perfect, but at the end of it, he reached out and he's like, we'd love feedback. And so he scheduled me and my team for a 30-minute intervention, is what I'm going to call it. And so we sat down and we're like, we have more than 30 minutes of content to talk to you about your portal. And it was just mostly little things, but things that would be better for our students. And within 2 weeks, they had made changes to their program to enact those changes we requested. And I have never had a vendor do that for me. And so we are now using Echo Labs. We're using, and we're doing captioning in-house, and it's the best of both worlds for me and the students I'm serving. Back to Edward and Devin.
Well, thank you so much, Ann, for the kind words. It's been great getting to know you over these past 6 months and actually just working with the university over the past 14 years. The thing that's always continuously impressed me about the university, whether it's Drew McGregor in the CIO's office, John Tubbs in media services, or the accessibility teams, it seems like the university just genuinely starts operating at what is the best and perfect solution and then works backwards from the resources available and typically gets very, very close to those initiatives. So there's an absolutely fantastic school to be partnered with, and can't thank you enough for the kind words. I had the pleasure of spending the past 14 years working with this university and working within the online media space. I got to help launch the higher education vertical at Kaltura in 2009, spent a couple of years at Panopto after that, and got to assist about 25% of the schools in the country with their multimedia initiatives. And accessibility was just such a prevalent topic in every single one of those conversations. Of schools would say, like, this is our budget and this is what we need. And it was just heartbreaking over 15 years of interacting with schools to say, like, I don't think that exists. And honestly, I don't think anyone's even close today from what I'm seeing. And that's when I got a call back in February from Edward to see if I wanted to come out and potentially test out some groundbreaking technology. I was highly skeptical that there was a significant leap forward in this short of a timeline, but I came out. I had my thumb drive full of content. I wanted to test things firsthand. And my litmus test for what was a success was pretty good most of the time. What I really did not expect was perfect every single time I got a file back. 2 weeks later, I packed up my car with my wife and that bulldog who you met earlier, made our way out to San Francisco, and we've launched the company. It's just been absolutely amazing to see like the response from people when they see the technology, see the price point, and just see that there is a clear path forward for us all to operate and really work together to solve a very critical challenge over these next 24 months. But I'd love to introduce our next product. Edward will be presenting this. This is Luna. This is the world's first audio description model. I always like to say, if Casper is magic, Luna is our secret black magic. It's truly, truly amazing. I can't wait to show it to you. And I'll let Edward take it from there.
Yeah, thank you, Devin. So this is actually a really big treat here. Outside of our own team, only a handful of people have actually seen this, and we have a growing amount of people who have signed up as beta testers for Luna that are going to be launching here at the end of this month. But this is the world's first AI audio description system. I mean, it's a very obvious piece of technology when you're wondering, like, why does it need to exist? If the ADA and Title II require that, you know, we not just caption, but we audio description all of this media, the options available today are ridiculously expensive. It's almost comedic in that they're anywhere from like, you know, $12 to $18 a minute. And we wanted to see if we could take enterprise level investment from, you know, the founders of Google and Microsoft, and genuine, like, fantastic machine learning engineers, if we could try and crack this problem. So I will let you guys decide for whether or not you think we did, but here is a legitimate example we've generated for Rice University's admissions team. For context, before you see this, this video was put in, no prompt, no background, and in 5 seconds, this is what came out the other side of the portal. Feel free to play the video.
Aerial view directly above a fountain. Lines on the ground shoot out in all directions from the center of the fountain in an ornate pattern.
Set in the heart of Houston,
An aerial drone shot captures a Houston highway at sunset.
Rice's 300-acre urban campus is nestled.
3 students walk together on a tree-lined sidewalk. Vibrant pink bushes border the path.
Beneath more than 4,300 trees, creating endless.
A young woman in a colorful Hawaiian shirt sits on a.
Okay, thank you, Tara. So what you just saw there was the aggregation of so many cutting edge technologies, a lot of which we needed to build and create ourselves, because frankly, there was nobody in this space who was capable of building it or had put the money into building it. And the end outcome is what we call Luna. And Luna, you know, outside of being the world's first AI audio description system, introduces a lot of really novel technologies with it. This is the first technology that's built not just from a cost perspective, but from a usability perspective to handle tens of thousands of hours with the institutions that we work with today. One of the key pieces of technology there that's important to understand is if you have a workflow today for getting audio description done, what you might do is that you'll submit, you know, all of your videos to a vendor, but for each one, you need to tell them, I want standard audio description or I want extended audio description, which means a human is there deciding on every single one what to do and what they wanted to use it for. What we've built is, we call it RAD, and RAD is an acronym for Reactive Audio Description, and RAD is the automated system that's at the top of Luna, that whenever somebody just drags and drops a file in, takes literally 2 clicks, the system will automatically determine for tens of thousands of videos at once whether or not this part of a video can be standard or extended. And if it's an hour-long video, it could be a mix of both. Whatever is necessary to make sure that that student is getting the full amount of background needed. And we don't charge differently whether or not it's all standard or all extended. And I think the most exciting thing about all of this is that if current solutions are between $12 to $18 an hour, this is starting at less than a fifth of that cost. And this is going to be open to Internet 2 members first and foremost. It's an extremely exciting piece of technology, and I really think that this paired with Casper is going to be the basis of this accessibility suite that we're going to build to really help, push ourselves toward this world of full accessibility. Because I think, if you want to achieve this world where you're not just worrying about accessibility crisis, but you're covering every student individually, you can't just think about cost. You also need to think about usability and how easy it's going to be. Like, I remember the first time I picked up an iPhone and I was like shocked. It was the first phone I didn't need to think about how to use it. It just worked. We want to build a platform that's like that. Nobody receives training today simply because they don't need to on the platform. And then that design principle is at the core of everything that we build, every button, every page. And to tell you more about that, we've invited Jeff Schwartz in another
Area view directly above a fountain.
He's another fantastic trailblazer from Loyola Marymount University. So I'll let you take it away from here. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Edward. I'm Jeff Schwartz. I'm the Senior Director of Digital Learning and Innovation at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. We are a private institution founded in the Jesuit tradition in 1911 with about 10,000 students, just over 10,000. My role is to oversee the Office of Online Learning at the university, and as such, we are heavily dependent on video for instruction. Currently, I oversee a team of instructional designers and multimedia specialists and graduate assistants, and it's kind of been an all-hands-on-deck solution to captioning and making sure that all of our learning content is accessible. We were also grateful recipients of some grant hours from Echo Labs to kick the tires and experiment with their new platform. And in a word, we've been smitten. It's incredibly easy to use. It's helped us centralize some of our efforts around captioning. And I think what my team has been most impressed by is that we've really been able to remain hands-off with the platform. It catches technical jargon, proper nouns like legal cases and names in our law school, vernacular specific to science and engineering, which is often difficult, and even instructor accents. We have a very diverse international faculty base, and having a tool set that makes it really easy for us to support the design of instructional videos has been phenomenal. We've been so impressed that we're currently reaching out to other campus divisions, information technology services, as well as disability student support and marketing communications. And we're excited to see what's on the horizon. But Echo Labs has been a fantastic platform, and we're excited to continue the partnership.
Me.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I want to start by pointing out that we've already had an incredible response from our community with over 100 universities expressing a strong interest in the service. And given all the enthusiasm, we knew we had to act fast and get an agreement in place. So last month, we launched a pre-service evaluation with Echo Labs, and this approach allowed us to get this valuable service into your hands as quickly as possible. And you might be wondering why a pre-service evaluation instead of a full service one, and that's a great question. So the pre-service route lets us strike a balance between speed and thoroughness, and it means that you get access now while we continue to refine and evaluate the service. And as part of the Internet 2 agreement, Echo Labs will undergo a full service evaluation within the next 6 months, and we are looking for community members like you to participate in this process. So let's talk about the contract and the business model. We're using our standard Internet 2 customer agreement, and we've incorporated some more specific AI terms to address the unique aspects of the service. Echo Labs offers an extremely simple pricing structure. They're providing the lowest commercial rate for this level of service at just 45 cents per minute for a 24-hour turnaround. And it gets even better because if you need both audio description and closed captions, their bundled option can save you up to 90% compared to other service providers. As far as eligibility, the criteria are quite broad, which is great news. So essentially, if you're involved in education or research in the US, there's a good chance that you're eligible, and you can see the full list of eligible parties here on the slide. If we can just jump to the next slide, Tara. I want to point everyone to some additional resources here to learn more about joining the program. And we'll also make sure that we drop those links in the chat for you as well. And then if you or someone at your institution is interested in participating in the full service evaluation for Echo Labs, please send us an email. And our contact information is also in the slide. I am going to go ahead and wrap this up and turn it over to my colleague Nidhi, who's going to introduce the 1Password service, but we encourage you to please keep posting questions in the chat. The panelists will stay on, and if you have questions about Echo Labs, feel free to keep posting. Thank you. Turn it over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you, Tiffany. So talking about Net Plus 1Password, next slide, please. I'm Nidhi Yadav, an Associate Program Manager at Internet 2. And joining me today are Christine Martin from 1Password, Jay Gelman from Duke University, and Peter Weldon from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who will be talking about their experience with the Net Plus 1Password service evaluation process and 1Password. So over to you, Christine.
Sure, it's such a pleasure to be here, and just I think thank you everybody for taking some time today. We are so excited to be a new member and partner of Internet 2. So 1Password was founded in 2005, and the mission and purpose of the company has always been to build a safer, simpler digital future for everybody. We help safeguard secrets so that people can stay safe while being productive online without having to worry about security and privacy. We're a global team. We've got over 1,200 people across the globe that are focused on user experience and customer service, and we're trusted worldwide, protecting nearly 150,000 organizations and millions of customers across the globe. So we're particularly excited about this strategic partnership with Internet 2 to help strengthen security, support collaboration, drive innovation, and boost compliance across the higher education community within the US. So I'll get you to flip to the next slide. Perfect. So we know that 50% of 50% of breaches come from stolen credentials, and there's been a 10 times increase in password-based breaches in the last year. With our industry-leading security model, which I'll touch on in a minute, we really help to focus on reduction of shadow IT by filling in the gaps left by single sign-on, and provide administrators with the controls and visibility to proactively protect their campuses. We take a human-centric approach to our product that drives end-user adoption, and we improve efficiency and productivity across the campus and across our partners, especially for those that are overburdened, have small and overburdened security and IT teams. And underlying all of this is really customer experience and customer support. So jumping into our security foundation, this of course is key and critical with any security tool. We use a two-key derivation method, which is we're the only password manager to use that type of security base. And there's really kind of three components to highlight here: your account password, your secret key, and then we use SRP, so secure remote protocol, to make sure that you're secure. Along with this, we are also certified with ISO. We're the only password management to be certified in those 4 ISO areas, as well as SOC 2 compliant. And of course, we comply with standards with GDPR, sorry. And then last, I'll just flip to this quick because I do really want to make sure that Jay and Peter have an opportunity to speak about their experience with 1Password, just to give you a snapshot of some of the other systems that we integrate with. So, we do integrate with everything that you see here on the screen, which also means that you can pull events from 1Password into any SIM tool that you're using, Splunk or Elastic or Sumo Logic. So it becomes very much a holistic solution that will hopefully help reduce the burden on your security teams, and then make sure that you're keeping everybody at your campus, students, staff, faculty, safe and secure. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jay and let him speak about his experience with 1Password. I think you might be on mute.
You would think you would think maybe I could have the mute stuff handled by this point in time. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Duke beyond the month of March and March Madness in basketball, we are a private R1 university here in Durham, North Carolina. We're approximately 17,000, 18,000 students between our undergraduates and our graduates. We have 9,200 employees on the university side, but we're also affiliated with Duke Health System, which is another 47,000 employees. We've do quite a bit of research. For our 1Password, though, We got started with 1Password as a customer back in the fall of 2021. We were needing to move from an existing platform. We had about a month and a half to do the turnover. So I spent the better part of October and November in 2021 actually migrating groups of users via Zoom. So I got a firsthand look at what it takes to stand up 1Password, work with users, and get a feel for how people do things differently than we might do them ourselves. At the university, we cover the cost of 1Password through our security office and make it free to any employee that wants it. It's not a mandated thing. It's just something that we recommend as a best practice. Today, we've got over 2,200 users, and this year we've added 475 users alone. All of that pretty much driven by, hey, we've got information. Here's how you get started. Here's some KBs and get you started. Go ahead and turn it over. We learned some lessons when we rolled it out. So we didn't, at the time we rolled it out, there weren't single sign-on options like you saw in the previous slide. We weren't staffed technically to stand up a system for cross-identity management, Skimbridge. So basically, we enroll everybody through an email link, which leads to command line interface to manage the offboarding needs. And so about once a quarter, I do some cleanup in there. What we discovered, as I mentioned, rolling out to the first 900 users in those first 2 months was a lot to put down in terms of KBs. So we developed a set of KBs. It's content that we've shared during the I2 process and hope to make broader available so that others know what they might be getting into during a rollout. Students, on the other hand, which can get a free coupon to get 1Password through our offering, they may not feel the need for a password manager. And we've only enrolled 460 to date. It peaks when we bring students in. Cyber Security Awareness Month next month will probably drive a few more. But that's an effort that's ongoing. So if you're going to roll it out to students, be aware students may or may not take it up even if it's free. So make sure your users also know, if you roll this out, that 1Password isn't just about passwords. It's about management for secrets. So next slide. Here's why we're extremely excited to be a partner with 1Password. They're constantly innovating. Since we became customers in 2021, they've rolled out multi-factor SSH key management and passkey support. It was critical for me as a user. I moved all of my MFA tokens from Authenticator app on my phone into my 1Password instance. And every time I hit an account with MFA requirements, I didn't have to fumble for my phone. And that was great. It's really key, though, for the passkeys that were added in the last year, because Duke has a Duke Unlock offering that we wrote in-house. It's a passkey-based solution based on the WebAuthn protocol. It was a pilot offering in 2021, but now with the ability to put a passkey in 1Password, we got past what the initial hurdle was, which was initially it required a passkey in every browser that you use that you wanted to use this. By putting that passkey into 1Password, we've been able to turn it into a, wherever you have 1Password, you can do a 2-click login to your DukeNet ID. I will say in closing that things that are extremely important to us in a business relationship, they listen to their customers. We get quarterly business reviews. I've had the privilege to be involved in access to some of the beta features and the product advisory council, and I'm continually impressed by their willingness to listen and then actually make change based on that. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Peter.
Thanks, Jay. Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Vandervelden, and I'm a cybersecurity engineer at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. At UW, I manage several security tools, including our password manager, privilege access management, and IT risk management tools. Some quick facts. Founded in 1848 when Wisconsin achieved statehood, UW-Madison is the largest university in Wisconsin, with nearly 50,000 undergraduate and graduate students and around 27,000 faculty and staff. We really pride ourselves on the Wisconsin idea, which is a public service focus on improving the lives of all Wisconsin residents. And our university also conducts significant research, investing $1.5 billion annually. You can go to the next slide, Tara. So to help secure our users and all their accounts and all of that research data, we offer a password manager to all students, faculty, and staff. And really, given our large and very diverse user base, providing a secure and user-friendly password manager is a major challenge. Recently, we reviewed our current solution due to some heightened security concerns with it. And our key requirements were really ease of use to ensure high adoption, again, across all those users that we have, and advanced security features to address the issues that we identified with our current password manager. Luckily, our review coincided with the Internet 2 review of 1Password, which was my first experience with the Net Plus program. And this collaboration really allowed us to learn from other institutions and understand the perspectives of both prospective customers like ourselves, along with current 1Password users that all operated within the higher education space and understood the uniqueness that came with that. So this insight really helped us kind of anticipate questions that we would get on campus and strengthened our case to campus stakeholders and leadership, and really supported our recommendation that we came up with as well to transition to 1Password. So we were kind of wrapping up all of our internal evaluation as well. And we hope to start the transition soon as part of the Net Plus program and aim to complete that within the next 9 months. And I really expect the continued support from both Internet 2 and its members, as well as 1Password, will help us ensure a smooth transition and really a more secure future at UW-Madison. So I'll pass it back to Nidhi.
Thank you, Peter. So we successfully completed the service evaluation process for Net Plus 1Password, but it wouldn't have been possible without the active participation from 7 of our member institutions. So I would like to thank Stephen Burr, our sponsor, CISO at the University of Kentucky, in addition to Duke University, University of Wisconsin-Madison, Harvard University, Indiana University, New York University, George Washington University, and 1Password team for the valuable input and active involvement throughout the service evaluation process. Now, as part of the process, 1Password was assessed on the following key concepts. First, functional assessment. An overview of the functional features and capabilities of service was provided to the participants to ensure that it meets the higher education needs and requirements. Second, security. 1Password is HECWET and SOC 2 compliant. There were no security concerns raised during the process. Third, IT accessibility. Upon request to interested institutions, documentation on VPAT is available. At this time, it was identified that network integration is not a requirement. Lastly, talking about business and legal, customer contract tailored to the higher education unique terms was finalized and is available to the interested institutions. Next slide, please. So talking about the contract, Net Plus 1Password contract is a standard Internet to customer agreement with 1Password MSA. It has been pre-negotiated and customized to higher education community. We have a stepped pricing model with deep discounts ranging between 25 to 90%, which allow you to purchase licenses as per your institution needs. Renewal increase is capped at 5%, and there is an option for extended through a period of 6 months. Next, for institutions who decide to buy a larger number of licenses, there are some additional perks. Like for orders above 141 licenses, you get dedicated onboarding implementation services along with customer success manager. For orders over 1,500 licenses, you get free student access to family accounts. Next, talking about the eligibility, the program is available to Internet to higher education members, higher education non-members, affiliate members of Internet 2, including federal affiliates, and others as mutually agreed. Next, if you wish to know more about the contract, we have a contract package available upon request to netplus@internet2.edu. The contract package includes Net Plus 1Password customer addendum and a contract summary. We also have a bunch of additional resources if you wish to deep dive and know more about 1Password. These resources are available from 1Password and Net Plus as well. You can check out the public profile for 1Password, security audits, bug bounty program, blogs, webinars, and also the Net Plus 1Password wiki page or the program page. Now, where do we go from here? So as our next steps, the two key areas we want to focus on are First, develop a community engagement plan to allow opportunities for collaboration and knowledge sharing for our users. Second, establish a service advisory group which provide key insights from users' perspective to keep the program and the service aligned as per the higher education needs. So I guess that is all I had, and we are open to any questions from you for Ecolabs or 1Password.
Jenna, do we have any questions in the Q&A that we'd like to read out?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start from the first one. We had a customer success manager from Ecolabs answer this, but I feel it's appropriate to read and answer it anyway. So this anonymous attendee said, there's some pretty significant social engineering there using a woman's voice with a received pronunciation accent. Can you change that? The Ecolabs response was, of course, we offer various voices to choose from. The next attendee said, oh, do you want to expand on that, Edward?
Sure, yeah, we just had Yasmin join in to like field some of the smaller
Oh,
questions.
cool.
Yeah, but no, it's a fantastic question. So we let people choose from one of 5 different voices. We're actually going to be adding more. But I think the interesting thing about the voices is that we actually worked with a large group of blind and low vision nonprofits to choose these as long as alongside build much of this product out. So to them, they chose these groups that we wanted to work with. But if perhaps you don't want the British person voice, you could have like one of 4 other ones. But I'm actually going to be quite curious to see which one becomes the most popular after the fact. But yeah, it's completely up to the individual which one they choose.
Okay. The next anonymous attendee said, do you offer live captions as well? Yes, we are currently working on it and it'll be available in the next few months. Translations is on our roadmap as well. The last question that's already been answered is, do you have a product to make PDF files accessible? We don't yet support file remediation, but we do know how important that service is to the community, so we're currently exploring it. We have 2 questions open that happened during the Ecolabs time, and one for 1Password. So the first one's for Ecolabs. Edward or Devin, you mentioned that with your products, institutions don't have to increase the budget and even save. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then I'll also
No, I'm happy to address that. And actually, we just had a meeting yesterday with a very, very large school in the Northeast. And what they told us was today they feel like they caption about 20% of overall content that really should receive captioning. What we were able to do is come in and bring their per captioning cost down by 80%. So they're saying, we're going to spend pretty much the exact same we're comfortable with spending, but now we're going to have 100% coverage. So as we're able to do these kind of tectonic shifts in pricing and bring things down, like not just 15, 20%, but 80, 90% for people, it really just slots in. And that was very mindful of getting our pricing to that point of being able to cover significantly more with very similar or same budgets as today.
Okay, and then we have one from Alex says, can you please clarify how the content of the videos / audio is used? We have extremely strict IP regulations and serious concerns regarding AI training data sets.
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. So when we started the company, we realized that, whenever you Google AI, you only get like these very terrifying news articles online. It's like there's never anything like positive on the internet about this. I think probably the thing that's most exciting to the people that work here at Ecolabs is like we have the opportunity to show that AI can be like this very pro-social type of technology that could be applied in very amazing ways. And so obviously when it came to training and IP regulation, we went as pro customer as humanly possible. We actually got tremendous amounts of pushback from all the engineers in this space, and we told them, like, listen, we want to make this so that no institution is going to have an issue with the IP training or anything like that. So we don't train on users' data. When it comes to IP and regulation, all of the content is still owned by the uploads, by the people who upload the users. And we have a open-ended contract with people, which basically says that if if we are in the negotiation process and you feel that any of these things might be a barrier for you, we'll always work alongside you to customize it. I think at this point, having worked with literally hundreds of institutions since our founding 12 months ago, at this point, we've never run into an issue since then, just because people, they'll look through our terms and they'll be like very pleasantly surprised. Like, I think Devin can probably speak to this too, but the most common thing people say is like, I'm very pleasantly surprised by like your cost. And the more I go into the details, that it's very, it's just very customer centric. And I also, really quick before we go to the next question, I want to just double tap on the question that David Slyman asked earlier about making a product that makes PDF files accessible. I think it's fairly obvious to a certain group of people that the end goal of the company is that we just want to build out the full AI accessibility suite for people so that you can like do all of this much more efficiently in a fraction of the price, because there's people with all sorts of different backgrounds that deserve access to their education, and all the options today for almost across the board are kind of a little bit crazy in their offering. And so that's definitely on our roadmap. We got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up, but we did pre-recorded captions. We just did Luna. Next up is going to be live captioning. I think that one's going to be phenomenal. But yeah, a lot of very exciting things to come. So
no, just to elaborate a bit on like the contract side of things, like we were acutely aware of the concerns regarding artificial intelligence in higher education. And it really was a foundational decision with the company that's why we had to build everything in-house. If we were going to say we are truly just stewards of your data, we don't do anything with it unless you have implicitly told us to do so. The only way we can have that type of universal control is ensuring that we own every single bit of the code base. We know what happens to it, and we don't just kind of build services on top of Whisper and other kind of open source AIs that I don't think would particularly work in a higher education setting at scale.
Yep. And last is that I think somebody asked for a VPAT. So I'm going to put a response in chat. We actually have all of our VPATs public, and I don't know of any other company that does this, but because we're an accessibility company, we do our VPAT once a month because of all the features we're adding. So this is our most recent VPAT. I just responded to that one in chat. And there is going to be a new update, I believe, on Tuesday. And so you can always keep up to date with those.
Okay, now we have a 1Password question. The question at hand is, how does 1Password handle IT accessibility?
Yeah, so I think this is in regards to, I'm assuming it's in regards to VPAT again. So we do have a VPAT report that we can share with you, so that's available. It encompasses all the versions, our password manage, our different versions. We regularly update the report, and then we do, our standard is to meet AA compliance levels. There are some items that are labeled as partially supports, and our intention is to be fully supported, So we continue to update that report and then make those changes available to you all. Awesome. And then I think the other one, Jenna, the next one is around pricing. So I could pop this into the chat, but for an estimate for 500 accounts, business licenses with 1Password would be just over $16,000 for those 500 accounts. So happy to go into further details around quotes and pricing, and feel free to reach out to Nidhi or Tara or Nick or myself directly, and we'll make sure to get you to the right place. Jenna, did I get all the 1Password questions there?
Yes, you did. Tiffany, Nidhi, Tara, do we have any just common Net Plus questions that you have been asked about the Net Plus Ecolabs contract or the Net Plus 1Password program that you could tell and share the audience?
I think one distinction I wanted to make in terms of the Net Plus 1Password offering, talking about pricing, is that this program came out of an overwhelming demand from the community for collaboration in working with 1Password, particularly on the pricing terms. And so that was a huge accomplishment, I think, that the service evaluation group accomplished on behalf of the community. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank everyone who contributed to that part of it.
Okay, guys, any other questions, anything else from the 1Password team or the Ecolabs teams? Feel free to share. And if not, we'll end our recording and webinar. Thanks everyone for attending. Go ahead, and Tara. your turn.
Yeah, we just
Well.
wanted to mention a little bit about what's next in the program. So this webinar series continues for the next few weeks into November. We're going to skip the week of EDUCAUSE. And we just want to make sure that people that are aware of the upcoming sessions that we have. And we're also always interested in knowing about other services that the community would like to see in the Net Plus program, and volunteers like the great participants today. In the 1Password service evaluation, we had all new participants in Net Plus service evaluation. I think they, as you heard from Peter and Jay, really benefited from that experience. But we do appreciate the input from the community in terms of where we can add value, where there's a need for the community to come together. We're looking at a few new services now. We're wrapping up a service evaluation with Pathify, with Globus. We're working on a project with Kajit for neutral host networking, looking at a lot of things in the AI space that Tiffany's working on, LLM gateways, other service providers. So appreciate any input that you all have in terms of where you want to see Net Plus focus our new program efforts on. And that would be to the netplus@internet2.edu email address, which hopefully is ingrained in everyone's memory now, because that's where all things Net Plus happen, and we appreciate your input. And thank you for joining the webinar today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.